Thank you, Tom.
Margaret
Thank you, Ron.
Lowsmith.
Thank you, Ron. I just want to take an opportunity in the middle of the morning to once again thank our underwriters, AT&T. Without them, this conversation simply would not be possible. And so now it's a moment for them to tell their story with a session that they've created. So it's a real pleasure to introduce John Stankey. He's CEO of the newly named AT&T Entertainment Group, and he oversees the operations of the world's largest TV provider. And he's here with Laura Corb of McKinsey. She directs media and entertainment there. And John and Laura, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Margaret. So, John, the topic here today is convergence and collision between content and technology. As the CEO of the new division, AT&T Entertainment, you're in a unique position to shape the dynamics near term in this area. So let's start on OTT. We all know U.S. consumers and millennials are increasingly cutting the cord. We see new models of OTT services popping up almost every day. So how will this impact AT&T and your strategy?
So at the core of our business, we are a connectivity business. That's what we do. We connect people. And anything that drives tonnage on a network, consumption of bits, is fundamentally good for what we do. And that's kind of how we think about it. Our involvement in entertainment is a reality that what's driving investment now into technology that flipped from 10 years ago, where large businesses used to drive the next technology innovation and enterprise innovation, forced technology deployment and infrastructure down into the mass market. It's now flipped. And it's entertainment and consumption of bits that are driven by entertainment that's driving investment in technology that ultimately yields in a tonnage and information that we carry around on our network. OTT is just another great way for people to consume what they want to do under the terms and the conditions that they want to do in engaging in entertainment. It drives more reasons for people to connect. It drives more information that gets carried across the network, and over the long haul, that's fundamentally good to our business. And those models, as they emerge, we think are going to be healthy models for everybody and for the market.
Great. So if you're looking for driving more bits, it sounds like virtual reality is something that's also pretty positive.
VR and AR is another great example, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if you can get more engagement and you can bring in a much richer experience, if you can drive yourself into a 4K environment, those are all good things and healthy things for our business over time.
Great. So there's a healthy debate out there these days whether the ice cube is melting slowly on the traditional pay TV model, or if we're really seeing a much more rapid crumbling. What's your perspective?
Since I started the term ice cube melting, and I think it stuck with me for a period of time, my point of view is that the ice cube is not melting in a 70-degree room. It's melting in a room that's above freezing. There's no doubt about that. But it's going to be a more deliberate melt-off. I don't view this as a zero-sum game, or that there's a cliff that people are walking over. I think we're into an evolution here, and there's an evolution of this that can occur that's win-win for everybody. And so I don't get apoplectic about it in any way, shape, or form. And our point of view in coming at this problem is that there's still going to be a desire in the market for high-quality content. There are many emerging models of content. There's going to be a lot of different places to go and see things that entertain folks, and they're going to be bundled and packaged differently. But there's still going to be a role for high-value storytelling, high-value content. And as a result of that, when you want to get into these moments where there's dislocations occurring in industry, coming at them from a point of strength is better than trying to come at them from a point where you're fighting to break into the ecosystem. And our discussions right now within the ecosystem are about how can we go to people who work with that high-quality content and find models that make sense for both of us, that take the customer to where they want to be, as the panel before us discussed about, allows them to engage in the product that they're selling in a way that works for them, but do it in a way that still allows for fair monetization of the investment in that intellectual property and that high-value stuff that people are able to bring to market. And so I think that will cause the models to change, but they're not going to change overnight. There are going to be parts of the model that will move much more quickly. The longer the tail is, the faster the rate of change and fragmentation that's going to be, but there's going to be core parts of that bundle, such as sports content, that are probably going to be a little bit harder to see evolve and probably going to be a little bit more resilient over time. And that's just the reality of the world we're going to be living in.
And on that topic of sports content, certainly OTT has been struggling with live sports, and it's been a key factor in helping keep consumers on their cable or satellite subscription. Do you see that changing in the near or medium-term future? Will there be a day when sports channels or even individual games are offered a la carte? And if so, what's the tipping point?
I don't know that I can predict exactly when the tipping point's going to be. My point of view around how this develops is that it's really kind of one of the cornerstones of holding together parts of the ecosystem today. And you can say you like the bundle or don't like the bundle, and a lot of it depends on which part of the ecosystem you're in. The bundle does something that I think is good for the community, is it allows for content to be developed that probably wouldn't be developed in another kind of model. A fragmented model probably would limit the amount of high value, high quality content that gets developed over time because it becomes more difficult to monetize in a fragmented industry. So I think sports is that anchor that will allow for parts of that bundle to stay in place, and it will break down over time, but it will be the slowest component of the bundle to break down. It doesn't mean that there won't be folks who try to slice off little parts of it to send it out a la carte and find the really passionate people that are willing to say, if I can't get these 100 games during the season, I can go pay an incremental $5 and go get them. But there's going to still be this core nugget that sits in there that will become an anchor component for the bundle for a period of time. I think we will see niche sports content. We see it today that maybe doesn't lend itself well to being packed into a bundle and broad distribution, that will certainly be available and more fragmented over the type approaches. And you'll be able to go find your cricket games if you happen to be passionate about cricket. In a little bit different kind of distribution model, you may be able to find 100 games of less significant NCAA college sports in places that you might be passionate about, that you want to go. You'll see that start to break off, but there's going to be some core stuff that's going to take a little bit of time, I think.
Great. And with your recent acquisition of Directv, you have a unique position now spanning both the world of content and technology. Can you tell us a bit about your strategy for the convergence of your assets in tech and content, and what we can expect in the future?
It gets back to my opening comment. I mean, fundamentally, at the heart of our business is we believe in connecting people, and that's our job. And if I were to tell you what I believe the enduring product is that we sell today in this environment, the enduring product is a mobile broadband connection and a fixed broadband connection. It's about building networks that have broadband capabilities to deliver. Our job is to attract traffic onto our network that allows people to do what they want to do. We will invest in the ability to distribute entertainment. We'll invest in platforms that allow people to bring their content in and distribute it out effectively and efficiently to end users. This is becoming less of an issue in the home, although I will still suggest to you that if there is a very rapid melting of the ice cube, if people believe that the ice cube is in a 70-degree room, then one would have to see a very, very substantial investment in fixed network infrastructure in this country to allow for all the multicast traffic or all the broadcast traffic that's delivered into the home today to suddenly be converted to unicast on-demand streams. It would be an order of magnitude increase in annual investment to see that happen at a pace that's different than a gradual or deliberate pace. And there has to be incentives for that to occur. We believe it will occur, and we see it happening in the fixed line business, but it becomes an even more inordinate problem when you start talking about the mobile environment. Fixed networks are inherently more scalable than wireless networks are. And so our approach to this is build the infrastructure that allows for more effective distribution of high content media. Do it cheaper, allow people to consume it more. And you have to engineer and build networks to allow that to happen. And so we want platforms that attract people to bring in video, to bring in the content they want to distribute, not just ours, not just stuff that we bundle, but others, that scale these networks, lower the cost of them, make them more capable of delivering over time. But this is going to take billions and billions of dollars of infrastructure to ultimately move to this on-demand, unicast world that everybody loves from a feature perspective. And there has to be a good, solid ecosystem for everybody to kind of get paid back on their level of investment for that to occur.
In addition to building the network, you're also investing in content, and one of the ventures you're doing that I know there's a lot of excitement in the room for is your partnership with the Chernin Group. So can you tell us a bit about that and how that plays into your strategy?
Sure. You know, when you run a large business that has hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue, incubation's really hard. And what we're doing with Peter and the TCG investment and the construct we have there is to acknowledge the fact that it's very difficult to incubate and do disruptive things inside of a very large business like AT&T. And the second piece is an acknowledgement that, as I said, our core of our business is really about networking and technology and attracting traffic, and our ability to work within the creative community has its limits, I guess is probably the polite way to say it. And what Peter and his team bring into this equation is a much better prowess around doing that. And so the TCG relationship is to ensure that, just like we want to make sure that we come at this evolution that's occurring in the industry from a position of strength, a position of scale, we also need to play this other side of the fence of the emerging and changing models. We don't want to do it in a way where it gets crushed by the mothership and the big, large entity of AT&T. And so Peter is providing that vehicle for us to do that under a structure that allows us to put resources, time, effort, capabilities around our distribution into the model, while he's able to work the creative and development process in a way that's not interfered with the bureaucracy and overheads of AT&T, as well as our less insightful views of how to work within the entertainment community and the creative community. So that's kind of the genesis behind it and what we're doing there.
Great. How might we see the shift of video to mobile changing, impacting the type and the value of content? Do you think we'll be seeing more new forms of professionally produced short-form content for mobile, or will it be our traditional content just streamed to smaller screens?
I think it's both, and I think you're going to... Mobile's already been very good to the less professionally produced content and opened up a whole genre of distribution that wasn't there before, and I think it's just at the starting point of what's possible over time. I think one of the capabilities, not the only, but one of the capabilities that's necessary to really unlock this is you have to allow people to be able to engage with high bandwidth content, entertainment content on a mobile device without having the overhead of, is this costing me money? How much is it going to cost me? And so as networks scale, as they become more efficient, it'll be a good thing for unlocking even more opportunity for people to use this as a development and distribution platform. And I think mobile's very well suited for shorter form, snackable, more dynamic, more niche-oriented constructs. And we think that's a great place to be. But we also believe there's far more that can be done to take high value, more professionally produced content and make it more suitable to the mobile environment. And you know, we do a lot of cohort analysis. We're able to follow customers that have different constructs around how they consume and use product. We could unleash a whole bunch more mobile consumption to the extent that networks scale properly and the value proposition and how they're priced allows for people to engage more. We know people will do more. And that's a clear reason why we brought these two companies together. We want our scale in mobile to come to the scale in entertainment and be able to allow for that good quality entertainment to be used in a dynamic way wherever customers are, however they want to engage in it. And that's part of that win-win proposition moving back into the ecosystem. We think we can do that and bring better monetization in, because the nice part about mobile is it's device specific. It's individual specific. It changes the advertising model. It changes the yields on advertising. Ad-supported constructs are really good to incent more development in good, high-quality entertainment, and we think over time that's a win-win proposition.
That's great. So speaking of the recent acquisition of Directv, it's been about 4 months since the deal closed and you assumed leadership of the new business unit, AT&T Entertainment. What surprised you most over the past several months, and how has your perspective on the case for the deal evolved?
I get asked that question. What surprised you most is the number one question I get asked. When you have 14 months of an approval process and when you lead the diligence process to do the transaction, you shouldn't be surprised by much of anything, right? And I'm surprised by very little. If there's one thing that maybe I'm a bit surprised by, we touted this as a very pro-competitive transaction. And I would say maybe I underestimated just the intensity of the competitive response the day the transaction closed. It has been absolutely 100% pro-competitive. We are clawing and scratching for every customer we can get. You've all seen the different models that have come out into the market that various competitors of ours, both within the entertainment space and those that are cross-modal, that are in the wireless space, that are looking how to distribute entertainment content, are starting to bring into the market. It's pretty phenomenal, and I'd say that's probably the biggest surprise. I would tell you the fundamental underlying value proposition of why we did this, no surprises. Everything has been on track with what we expected. There's, things that we have to adjust to, but we've made really good progress on the content side. I think the discussions that I mentioned earlier with those that own the content around finding those new win-win models have been every bit as productive as we hoped they would be. And I'm really excited about what the future has in store for us with this combined asset base.
Great. So an important deal helping shape the future of this convergence and collision we're here to talk about. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it.